Yes to the light, and yes to love. Yes to everything you ever dreamed of.
Janine's been my friend for many years and my mentor, and I'm so thankful. She's been Zooming for like 20 years. I've only been Zooming for like 6 months. So I'm so thankful she's here. She's given us so many tips of how to actually make this happen on Zoom. And so thank you. And she's going to speak. She is a sacred clown. She's a shaman. She's a chakra healer. She is the author of many, many books, a broadcaster. She does so many things. She's enlightened. I'm going to read her bio. She's been enlightened with the Hindu guru and Native American grandmothers and grandfathers, initiated into the Thunder clan after being struck by lightning. She provides shamanistic healing and use of totem animals for relationships, wealth, and life path challenges, to bring your intentions for the life changes you wish to create for yourself. So she's going to work with us using a variety of techniques to guide us in creating the lifestyle that we desire. So thank you, Janine. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here. And I would like to acknowledge and recognize the other sacred clowns that are in the room. And that is Christine Baker and Becky Lee. Both have had their versions of being struck by lightning. And thank you for joining me. Wherever there is an event and you have 3 clowns in the room, the changes will be permanent. So your intentions will be grounded. These 3 clowns will be working with you. I am unable to stay with you the entire weekend because of work I have to do down in Littleton, but we have 2 clowns that will be here helping you in very traditional techniques of grounding. The changes you seek and the changes you want will be grounded into your first chakra. So you'll feel buzzing in your head. Thank you, Emily, and the archangels and the other healers that are on this call. Almost everybody here is a healer. So, but then when you feel it like come down through your pelvis and you feel your toes, you can say thank you to Becky and Christine and the other light workers who are not embodied, but are with us on this call. So
thank you. That's amazing. Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you wanted me to start.
Well, does anyone need a break, or are you feeling good?
Everybody good? Okay,
Good.
if everybody's feeling good, of course you do, because Emily put that big, beautiful ball around us. I want to share a story about Emily before I start. I always knew Emily was powerful. And I have this thing called crow lodges, and we hold these crow lodges in my house about once a month, and all over the world. I've been all over the world with my crow lodges. And so one time I said to Emily, I need somebody to really bring in the light, and I need you. And we're getting ready to make these changes for these women in this Ambalisha, and I need you there. And so she couldn't make it. So we dialed her in on the telephone. And a lot of mystics, this is before COVID, a lot of mystics at the time felt you had to be physically present for changes to happen. So Emily says, okay, we're going to bring light into the room. So I want everybody to relax. I want you to set your intentions, just like what she did here. And then you hear her on the phone, on the speakerphone going, and the fireplace, the fire was going up the chimney with every beat. And I'm like, there you go. You don't have to be physically located in the room to make it happen. And I was like really excited. So many people didn't remember that event. I had to bring it up for months and months after that. You don't have to be physically present to have miracles happen. And I share that with you now because we find it funny. You know, we find it funny now with COVID and what we've experienced, but please realize there are still people in your paradigm, people in your network who feel that transformation can't happen unless you're physically present. Please keep educating your people in your communities, because I feel every person here has a huge community around them, and that just realize that people need to be reminded. You don't have to have somebody physically present for miracles to occur. Okay, so sometimes we forget the obvious. I like to bring in the obvious. So what are we supposed to do? I wanted to toot Emily's horn here a little bit because I'm so proud of her. The other thing is because, she came in as a mom and she's like, I'm meeting all these psychics and all these people, and they had divorced their husbands and they walked away from their children. And I'm like, honey, that was age of Pisces. We're in age of Aquarius. Psychics are not being asked to sacrifice like that anymore. You can stay with your husband. You can stay with your children. If you need somebody who, like I'm a mom, I have 4 kids and I'm awakened in 2010. And I'm like, there's ways to make it happen. And so I've been watching her just grow and expand. And I'm thrilled that you are here because she will guide you where you want to go and never use force. And that's always a delight, isn't it? Not to have force used. Yeah. So let's talk about some dark tools. I like to use that term. It's a Native American term. I learned it from a Seneca medicine woman. Dark tools are when you're in less than your happy place, right? It's one thing to be very spiritual when we're doing good, right? Oh my gosh, you lost 5 pounds, you got that dress on. Sorry, gentlemen, but okay, say the hair hasn't fallen out, it was just a moment, okay, or something, but you're feeling good. You look in the mirror and you're like, oh yeah, I am rocking this today, whoever you are, right? And you're just like, and you walk out, it's easy to be spiritual. It's easy to share love. It's easy, right? It's simple. But then we have those days where you wake up and you're like, you feel hungover, even though you haven't had a drink. You feel like your body's revolting against you. And you're like, what? WTF? I did not sign up for this. Who signed me up for this crap? Right? So if you're in that kind of state of being, let's talk about the dark tools. Dark tools are to help dig you out. And believe it or not, the person that I think that teaches this the best was Buddha. Buddha really understood suffering. And so much of Buddhism is how to keep yourself from suffering. Therefore, you don't radiate it out to others. Remember that presence that Emily's totally nailed it today about setting intentions and that you are presence. Okay. And of course, I always like to say, remember, you're a present, as in you're a gift. You're a gift to the people in your life. Now, sometimes you're like a sacred clown, and to my clowns, high five. We all know this. Sometimes the gift you're bringing is showing people what they do not want, almost to the point of, forgive me, we're going to move a little outside PG here, but you're so not what somebody wants. They're not only saying no to you, they're saying, hell no, get away from me, back the truck up. I don't want you in my face, right? Those aren't your people. Don't try to make amends. Don't try to be with them. They don't want you. They don't want your frequency. You can take your happy ass self out of their existence. They don't want that. Okay. And sometimes that's where we are. That's where the dark tools will keep you from suffering as you're in that present state. When you have that kind of violent reaction happening to you and you're like, what are you talking about? I'm feeling great. I lost 10 pounds. I'm rocking my outfit. And you're sitting there giving me all this backlash just because I'm feeling good. And like Emily said, it's because that person is angry. Because how dare you be happy when I am suffering? And that's something that Buddha understood. He was able to pull that compassion. Christ did too. The big JC, big brother J, I love that man. But it was really through the Buddhist trainings that I was able to integrate it better for my own personal walk and my own personal journey. So let's talk about how to avoid your personal suffering. And then when somebody is giving you their suffering and you're like, ooh, whoa, hey, I didn't ask for that. You get somebody's whole life story. You get somebody's whole life story. And you're like, all you did was say, oh, I really like your top today. Next thing you know about their sister and their mother and the cancer. And it's like, we've all been there, or maybe it's just me. I don't think so. I think everybody in this room has had that. So this is what we're going to do. How do you prevent your own personal suffering? There are 3 states of being that I want you guys to set intentions for. Like when you're sitting there with your cup of coffee or your beverage of choice in the morning, or you're meditating, focus on these 3 states of consciousness, because you can usually hit one of these 3 no matter where you are, unless you are in total depression. Because in depression, you're gray. The color is gray. Okay, everybody thinks it's black. They're wrong. It's not black. Depression is gray, and there's no activity. And we sacred cows in the room, what is our job? Yes, we make you angry. Because if you're angry, you're not depressed. Okay, we throw you into your first chakra, whether you like it or not. We piss you off. Okay, so that's our job. Yes, ladies, thank you very much for being here. However, in this room, we work very hard not to be angry. We work very hard not to have grief and that kind of thing. However, I highly recommend that if you feel anger or you feel grief, just remember you're freaking alive. And thank goodness that you're feeling those emotions, because if you're feeling grief and if you're feeling anger, then you're not depressed. Depression's the hardest place for a psychic to move you out of. No one can move you out of the mud, just you. So Buddha knew this. And so there are 3 states of being that you can usually shoot for. Unless you're feeling a little depressed, then you're gonna have to walk through a little bit of mud before you can get here, but you can hit one of those states. So the first one is excitement. And this is our dear friend, Emily and Antoinette and a few others that I met, Becky Lee. You guys I know, and so forgive me for those of you I don't know, I can't use you as an example, but I do know excitement. These people come into your world and they're just excited. Becky shows up and she's like, hi, how you doing? Okay, look what I'm doing. And she shows you what she's doing. She's excited a lot of the time. Now, not everything that you have going on in your life is going to make you excited, especially if you're like me and you wake up, you know, I'm starting to push 60 now, and the body's letting me know that gravity has been on its, you know, it has been working with it. And so what you want to do in that state of mind is, okay, so I can't be excited. I can at least be enthusiastic. Okay, so I can't be excited, but I can bring my enthusiasm. I can't be at the same level as Emily or Becky today because I'm kind of feeling it a little bit, but I can be enthusiastic that they're excited. Okay, so what do we call that? Hero support, right? To be support. My favorite people are the ones that say, I'll hold space in the room. They're like, I'm not moving from my chair, but I will be here and I will honor you, right? So that's it. Being enthusiastic is very helpful. If you cannot be excited, if you cannot be enthusiastic, you're waking up and you're feeling like, you say to somebody, who got the license plate on that truck that ran over me and then backed up and ran over me again? Anybody have one of those physical days where you're just like feeling, oh my gosh, you get out of bed and you're like, I don't know what happened, but I'm just not feeling myself. What is happening at that time is stay in that place of acceptance. And that's where I wanted to talk to you about, is being in acceptance of yourself and where you are. And that includes depression. If you're in a state of gray, you're totally depressed, you accept that. I'm depressed. I am not myself. Because what is depression? Why is it gray? Because you are totally disconnected from source. No, you're not really, but that's what you feel. Okay, so we're not talking about reality. Reality, you're never disconnected from source. However, there are times where you will make the choice to totally disconnect from source. Now, I'm not talking about people who have chemical imbalances and need the help of a psychiatrist. Okay, I'm talking about normally you're mentally healthy, but then you're feeling depressed. Okay, I'm not a medical doctor in that regard. So when people go into, you feel yourself as feeling depressed, then I'd like you to have a playlist, either on YouTube or Pandora or something, that is what you call your happy music, that you will require yourself when you get into that place, that you will start dancing. This is part of acceptance. Okay, I'm depressed. I'm going to hit my playlist. I'm going to start dancing. What you want to do is you want to set up a path for yourself, no matter where you are. When you're feeling better, you want to set up, what is your role? What are you going to do for yourself when you hit depression? Because we came to this earth to ride the ride. And as my friend Tom said, it's an e-ticket ride. For those of you who remember Walt Disney World and used to have the e-tickets, and the only way you could get on the Matterhorn is if you had 5 of them, right, Tom? And I remember you'd save up your e-tickets so you could ride the biggest ride in the universe. And that is what Earth is. You didn't come here to always be positive. You came here to feel all the ranges of emotions, because how else can you grow? How else can you expand? How else can you be more compassionate? That's why we want you to stay in a state of acceptance, even when you're feeling at your worst. Accept the fact, I feel like crud today. Not feeling it, people, not feeling it. And if you're not feeling it, then that's when it's time for this. And I hate this word. I will be honest with you. I detest this word. If one more person talks to me about self-care, I think I'm going to shoot myself in the head, because you hear it so much in our community. So instead of saying self-care, say, I'm going to take care of my body. I can say that now. But you start talking self-care and I just want to shoot myself. So I talk about, I'm going to help my body today, or I'm going to help my heart today. I will localize it so that it's more focused, because self-care to me is this huge, broad, nebulous term full of milky white. I don't know what they're saying to me. It's a pink fuzzy cloud. Help me. I am very focused, direct individual. I'm a first chakra healer. Get to the point. So I always go into a highly focused well. So I hope this has been helpful for you for a little bit. I wanted to run you through 3 states of consciousness that are very easy for mystics like us to get into, which is you can be excited, you can be enthusiastic, or you can be in a state of acceptance. And when you hit grief, accept it. When you hit depression, accept it. Okay, these are the dark tools. These are the things that people try to avoid talking about. Oh, don't talk to me about it because I don't want to go there. That's because they're sweet baby mystics. I like to call them. They're baby. They're still in the nursery. They're trying to stay in that happy, positive place because they don't have the dark tools yet. So for those of you who have the dark tools, I want to say thank you, because I know what you had to do to get there and get through them and have that state of compassion when somebody's looking at you and you go, oh, that's a beautiful blue top. And then you find out about their mother and their sister and the scares that they've had. And you find out the entire life year that they've had. And you look at them, and the best thing you can do is go, wow, that's been a year. You'll forgive me. I have to get to my car now, but I wish you, bless you, and move on. And you just, as you're walking away, you're just letting all that drip behind you onto the concrete and down into the center of the earth. Thank goodness Mother Earth can handle it. She's been here longer than we have. So she's okay. You won't hurt her if you ground into that iron ball at her core, right? So that's me. I think that's enough of me speaking. Does anyone have any questions or wish to share what you know? Because this room is one huge brain trust. You all have your own wisdom. You all have your own abilities and skill sets. And it has been an honor and a privilege to be in this room with you this morning.
Janine's not getting enough self-care.
Oh, honey, I'm getting plenty of self-care. I've been out hiking. I'm in the foothills of the Colorado mountains. I'm in about a mile high. And so for all of you who are drinking your water, that's why we always talk about drinking water. Way to go, Monica. I've been watching you. Good job there, lady. But we drink a lot on Zoom. And we had somebody that said, you shouldn't be drinking on Zoom because people are, and they talked about the spiritual aspects of certain holidays. And I said, you'll forgive me, please meet me where I am. I'm a mile high and it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes of talking and I will start drinking water. And thank you, Arizona, for enduring the heat. We love you, Kendra. You keep rocking that. Stay cool, my friends. Okay. Don't forget to hydrate. This typical mom thing, mom of 4 children, can't help it. That's what I do. Is there any questions that you folks have? Thank you for being here in Evergreen. Any other questions you folks have on Buddhism or dark tools or working through the less savory aspects? I thought we'd get those out of the way, first thing out of the bag, so that the rest of your retreat, you can just focus on the warm, fuzzy pink things in your life. Okay, so Tom wants to know about news stories on UFOs, UAPs, the congressional hearings, all that kind of stuff. So as we move into the higher dimensions, please realize that for things, individual and people. Emily, did you want to talk at all about this before I share? Okay.
I want to hear what you have to say about this,
okay.
Actually.
All right.
Thank you.
So when I was quite young, I was probably 6 or 7 years old. It's at the time, about the time I was struck by lightning. I was living on a small island in the Bahama Island chain called Eleuthera, and my father was in the Navy, and so we moved around the world with him at that time. The time period was about 1974, 1975, and I would see little beings outside of my window, and they were kind of scary for me as a 6 or 7 year old. Please realize this was the tropics, and so everybody had their windows open, and there was no such thing as air conditioning. So you had high humidity and high heat. And so I was laying on top of the covers and on top of my bed trying to stay cool. And I remember being taken up into a spaceship. And I do remember waking up, and I remember I was kind of screaming. So forgive me for some of you, but I was not in pain. It was just I was scared. I have since learned that I was one of those children that was being taken care of. And they actually saved my life because both of my parents smoked, and it was before they understood secondhand smoke, and I had asthma. I would have died on multiple times while we were down in Eleuthera if I hadn't been taken up into that spaceship and taken care of. Okay. But each time it was terrifying for me because I didn't know what was happening. And it's not something you would talk to the big people about because the big people didn't believe in such things. Or if they did, they were Lulu or cuckoo. Sorry, Lou, didn't mean to use your name like that. Anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that I've had a lot of experience working with people. And this is the primary point, Tom. I don't know you personally well enough to give you any advice on your life, but I would encourage you to realize that what other people are doing about all of this is not as important as your personal connection with your higher self, because it doesn't matter all of the trappings this life has. What matters is your personal belief system and how you are moving through your own experience based on what you've got with UFOs. Now, everybody in the UFO community would love it for them to come clean about it, but our government has chosen not to. So if you want to, move to Belgium, because they had sightings in Belgium. You know what the Belgian government did? It sent the video from their security cameras to every other government in NATO and said, hey, anybody else seen these things flying around the planet? Are we the only ones? And then China started sending out videos. You can find them on YouTube. And so governments are opening up. We just may be a little slower because you know our government. So don't worry about what the government's doing. You just focus on what you guys have going on, which is your light bringers. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this incredible room with Emily Blank. You wouldn't be a part of Cosmic Connections if you weren't supposed to do something that was more important, which is you taking care of you being that anchoring light worker. You're lighting the way. So keep stuff down in your feet and your toes. And if you really get excited, Tom, if you're one of these people that you just thrive, like you dig into this stuff and it's meaty and it makes you happy and you really enjoy it, it makes you eager and enthusiastic learning this stuff, then go after it and figure out what your purpose is with it. But if it's detrimental, if it gives you frustration, if you don't like what's happening, then back away from it. It's not healthy for your life path. And so that's the only advice I can give a man when I don't know really anything about you other than your first name. Any other questions? It makes you happy to think about ETs. Who doesn't? I want a finger that lights up. I want to be able to go home and I'm instantly there. That would be awesome, don't you think? Teleportation, it's a thing. Okay. All right. So Emily, I was going to bow out unless I don't think anybody has any other questions on enthusiasm. Oh, go ahead, Kendra.
I wasn't typing fast enough. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
So can you go into just a little bit more? I do understand the depression, but I noticed that there's really a cycle. It's really more like a circle where there are times where I'm up and there are times where I'm down. And so going into acceptance in the lower, when you're feeling lower, but then also putting the playlist on to pull yourself out of that. Could you give me some clarity there?
Yeah, I'll see what I can do, because you know what? You're a very bright light, Kendra, and I want you to really start following your own intuition, because you're right. You're right. Okay, you've been told you're wrong a lot in your life, but you're right. You know what's best for you. And then you won't even have to think about it. The weight will come off because you will know what's best for your own nutrition. You'll know what's best when it's to move, and you won't need to protect yourself from other people's emotions and judgments because you are right for you. You're a practically perfect and perfect human being on planet Earth, and you're doing a brilliant job. Okay. So when you find yourself cycling, it's when you have confidence, like, oh, I got this. I'm rocking this. Check me in my bad self. Okay. I have days that I am rocking it and I am on fire. And then I have days I look in the mirror and go, oof. I've had better days. On the days where I'm going, oof, I realize, now this is kind of a gamer term because I have 4 kids and they're all gamers, but I'm leveling up. The days you feel the worst are the days you're leveling up, people. That's why you're feeling the oof, like you're feeling it. You're getting new, you're getting higher frequencies. And if you resist it, Buddha says you cause suffering for yourself. So if you don't resist it, if you open up to it, sometimes it takes a lot to remind, and this is for me especially, I'm trained as an analytical biochemist. I worked in big pharma for 20 years. So I'm very much in my head. Sometimes I have, oh, Janine, you might want to check that heart chakra. Oh, right. Might want to go into my heart chakra on that one. And then there are some days I'm too much in my heart and I'm taking things too personally. And it's like, whoa, what's rule number 1? 4 agreements. People read 4 agreements. Love Ron Miguel. Love that guy. Anyway, on the 4 agreements, he talks about don't take anything personally because it's all about them, not you. Hello, it's their problem, right? And so sometimes you need reminders. So Kendra, I hope you have a support group and that they help you. And if Emily is your support group, then find somebody on there that when you're having a rough day, they're the person you call. And make an agreement with those people. Antoinette, thank you. Because when you have those people, you make that connection and you say, when I call you, it's because I'm having a tough day. And this is what happens with the Sacred Clowns and I. So Christine, Becky, and I have this agreement. When they're struggling, they'll say, I'm struggling, XYZ, PDQ, this is why. And they send me a text message. Sometimes I get a text message that says, pray for me, I'm in the ER. Do I panic and call on the phone? No. I just sit and pray for them because I know I have trust, I have faith, the universe is going to take care of them. The doctors are going to do what they need to do. Nurses are going to do what they need to do. My people are going to be okay, but they do want to know that I'm praying for them, right? So that's what you do with that person. That way you're not feeling like you're taking your stuff and dumping it on a fellow mystic. Instead, you're like, I'm struggling. This is what I'm struggling with. And then they can respond to you when they choose. And that's the power of text. And that way you're not dumping a lot of energy on them. Does that make sense? Now you wanted me to talk a little bit more. The thing is you're seeing it as a circle. Please realize that it's a spiral. You're actually spiraling up and you feel like you're in the same place, but you have to go 3 dimensions. See, we have a tendency to be very 2-dimensional in our thinking sometimes. And I want you to remember that you're actually spiraling up. So when you have that depression, you're like, oof, not feeling all that great today, really feeling it in my body. This is especially powerful for women. No offense, guys, we'll talk to you in a minute. But the women, we have the pain body. Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body that we get when we start menstruating, when we're younger. And it's not until you actually move out of that when you have menopause. Men have anopause, and that's when men get the pain body. And that's why men over the age of 55, we have to be very careful with, because over 55 men receive the pain body and they're like, holy crap, all of a sudden they got these emotions they don't know how to deal with. They don't have tools. That's when they need mystics the most. That's when they need women the most. And often that's when they get divorced. Because their wife is going through their stuff, they're going through anopause, and that's why all the chaos that we see. Okay, so realize that that's spiraling up. That is happening to you when you're in that state, and that will give you some guidance.
Hello, Janine. Tanya had asked, how do you keep the ships away that you don't want? Can you touch on that for us a little bit?
How to keep the ships away you do not want? What are we talking about?
Tanya, if you want to chime in and kind of elaborate on your question there.
See, my father was in the Navy. Ships mean a lot of different things to me.
I think she's talking about spaceships that she doesn't want.
Well, if you have spaceships around you, that's because they're trying to chat with you, my dear, because you may be one of their boots on the ground. You may be one of the anchoring points. A lot of people think that the ships around them are a negative thing when actually they're a protective thing. Now, if you feel that it is something that is negative, then I would encourage you to chat with Emily and find out if it is truly a negative or if you need to reframe your experience. Realize on planet Earth, we have something that the other beings, we call them extraterrestrial, but whatever. Anyway, other beings do not. And that is, we've got a lizard brain. Aren't you happy we have a lizard brain? It throws us into fight or flight. And it gets us like all kinds of excited when we're laying there in bed at 2:30 in the morning and we hear something go thunk. And it's like, holy crap, what was that? And our heart starts pumping and everything. Realize the very first couple of times that I have worked with beings that are not earthlings, my heart still kicks into the lizard brain. And they'll manifest in my bedroom and they'll say hi. And I'm like, oh God, because it's just like the fight or flight will kick in whether I want it to or not. And I will turn to that being and I'll go, one moment, I'm being human. And they stand there and they wait because I'm at, because my entire body is screaming, this is alien, run. Do not deal with this thing, right? But then my analytical brain finally is able to kick in because that being is also hitting my limbic brain. The limbic brain is the one for women is intuition, which is the one that we get. If you're clairvoyant, you get the pictures in your head. It's almost like a movie for you for the clairvoyance in the room. That's your limbic brain. It doesn't use language. It bypasses the analytical side of your brain. So the limbic brain is the one that's all the images. And so you can chat with the ships if you want to and ask them, what do they want from you, or what are they there for, or what is their purpose? And they will signal you in that way if you're clairvoyant. If you're clairaudient, they will come through your hearing, as in high pitches. Who else here has problems with buzzing in your ears? And everybody says, oh, it's tendinitis. No, you're clairaudient, people. You're picking things up. And so when it comes to those ships, if you don't want them, I ask you why. Just ask yourself why. And you may find at the end, it's some sort of a fear-based something or other. And in actuality, if they keep hanging around you, it's because they have something to share with you, educate with you, or are protecting you. But I would chat with Emily about it. She will be able to give you appropriate guidance in that area. Nikki, what do you need, my friend? Go ahead and unmute. Be glad to hear you. Okay. Somebody put up a hand, so I thought it was Nikki. Any other questions? Do I know David Barnett? Yes, David Barnett and I worked for 7 years, and David Barnett was the one that contacted me and said, guess what? We have a new friend. I said, oh, we do? And he goes, yes, her name is Emily Blank, and she was in a kitchen and the white light descended upon her head. She has no idea about anything psychic. I think she needs to talk to you. So Dave Barnett referred Emily to me. So thank you for asking. Mystic Dave, isn't it? Or Dave the Mystic. What does he call himself these days? Yeah. He's a good guy, knows what he's talking about. He came on planet because he wanted to be the best healer he could possibly be. That is his ultimate goal. And it's always nice when you have a Virgo that says that, because let me tell you, they get down to the tiny details on stuff like that. And the other fun thing about Dave the Mystic or Dave Barnett is he's also a walk-in. So if any of you have had the walk-in experience, he is someone that can help you with that. He had his walk-in experience when he was 7 years old. So for those of you, that is one that's helped them. So, oh, Tanya, Dave's the one that guided you to Emily. Brilliant. Yep. He's a good guy. I like him a lot. Any other questions? Okay. Because I won't waste your time. We'll move on to the next speaker rather than to stare at each other's pointed heads.
Just like